This conference will now be recorded.
Once again, welcome to everyone that's joining us today. As you will know, if you have joined us for the previous 3 webinars, EcoQuip Plus is a collaborative project within the healthcare sector, which focuses on the public procurement of innovation. It builds on our predecessor project, EcoQuip, which demonstrated how pro-innovation procurement methods can improve the efficiency, quality and sustainability of healthcare. Part of what we want to do within this project is to inform others about the process and the methodology, and to demonstrate the benefits to both buyers and suppliers. We find that one of the best ways to do this is via case studies and real-world examples, hence these webinars and our wider plans for communication throughout the project. So without further ado, I will pass you over to my colleague Gaynor Wiles, who will lead the session today. Gaynor.
Thank you very much, Hayley, for your introduction. Yeah, welcome everyone to this webinar on market engagement in innovation procurement. We're very, very lucky to have an excellent guest speaker today from Croatia. But before I hand over to Denis Premec, I'll do a bit of an introduction about market engagement in general. Oh, what I also should say, yeah, please do add your questions in to the chat function as we go along, just a reminder to do that. So what we've been talking about in this webinar series so far is that there are 3 stages of innovation procurement that can be distinguished: preparation, market engagement, and pro-innovation tendering. And today we're going to focus on market engagement, and that's all about how do we communicate to the market in a way that convinces the market that we are a credible customer and convince them to engage with us to deliver the outcomes that we're looking for. Just a reminder of the overall picture of the forward commitment procurement method, and a reminder also that it was designed together with procurers, procurement professionals, the commercial departments within government authorities, and critically also designed and tested with suppliers. Today, I want to focus on 2 things. I want to just rehearse a little bit more about using outcome-based requirements before heading off and to talk more generally about what market engagement entails. So defining unmet needs in terms of outcomes is, as we have discussed earlier in this series, a cornerstone of innovation procurement. And very simply, it means not picking the answer and allowing room for innovation. There is a huge amount of creativity available in the supply chain. But if we over-specify our requirements, the supply chain has no room to actually offer up new and innovative ways of addressing the challenges that we're facing in the healthcare sector, and we are facing considerable challenges. So that means that you can't always imagine what that solution is going to look like, and suppliers can offer up solutions that might just not have occurred to you. What I wanted to do is also clarify that when people are using the term outcome-based requirements, it's slightly less worrying to a procurement team who are coming into innovation procurement than talking about specifications at this stage. So what we like to do is to talk about outcome-based requirements. It's not yet a specification. It is actually just an articulation of your requirements. Just an example of what that might look like. Okay, so this was a project that we worked on with the Rotherham NHS Foundation Trust on people-centred low-carbon catering, and a sort of an outcome-based summary or headline of their project would have been an innovative, integrated solution for the provision of high-quality, patient-appropriate meals that are enjoyable, attractive, support patient recovery, and are delivered as an integral part of nursing care. So that just gives you an example. This is the kind of phrasing and approach that we might take to an outcome-based requirement. And if you want to see some more examples of these and look at a bit more detail, for example, the catering project and the other projects from EcoQuip, do take a look at the EcoQuip final report, and it's in the associated projects section of our website. So let's move on now to talk about market engagement. What we're talking about here is pre-tender engagement with the supply chain. So we're not talking about, we have to clarify, I think, sometimes for suppliers, that this isn't the tendering process. This is all about preparation and engagement before the formal tendering process gets underway. And a critical thing that we have to keep in mind with market engagement, it is engagement with the supply chain, not with individual suppliers, and it is not at all in any way an assessment process or evaluation of individual suppliers. Okay, what we're trying to do is to present a credible demand in a proactive way to the market and understand, has the market got the capacity, the capability, and really importantly, the appetite? Do they want to work with you to deliver a solution? Two fundamental questions that we ask in the market engagement process. And can the supply chain deliver what we need, when we need it, at a price that reflects the value that we place on it? Is it yes or no? And if it's no, it's like, okay, is there anything that we could do to change that? And how can we as a customer then support and enable the supply chain to deliver? And an example of that is, for example, by saying, yes, we are not the only people that want this. We have 4, 5, 6 other healthcare providers who demonstrate that there is a wider demand for this solution, and it really is worth your time and investment. So sometimes this is what procurement can feel like. So we've got, on the one hand, we've got our customers, on the other hand, we've got our suppliers. And what we're trying to do with innovation procurement is we're trying to dissolve the barriers between them, trying to break down the barriers so that we can actually communicate and talk to suppliers. It strikes me as highly unusual that certainly a few years ago when we headed out, the idea of market engagement, actually talking to suppliers, was seen as highly unusual. And how can suppliers deliver what you need if you don't talk to them? If we're actually looking at engaging with suppliers in a different way, what we're actually saying is, okay, well, what we were doing before wasn't quite good enough. We've talked about it internally, and our leadership are really behind us. And we need to deliver these outcomes, ideally within 3 years, within a specific time frame. So from your point of view, suppliers, what are our options? And of course, it's kind of worrying. And in the background, you're probably thinking at this point as a customer, oh, will it be delivered? Can we afford it? And is there anybody out there who actually can supply it? So for the customer, it's all about confidence that a solution will be provided and it will work, and actually we can afford it, okay? And this is what we're asking the supply chain. For suppliers, it's all about your credibility as a customer. So in order to respond to your request, they're going to have to invest time, energy, money. So it has an opportunity cost. And they have to be convinced enough to engage with you by saying, yes, I can see that it really is worth my time and investment. And the market engagement exercise is all about convincing them that that is the case. And what does it achieve? So it's an effort. It takes time and it takes thought to run an effective market engagement exercise. But once people have done it, it becomes quite familiar, and it becomes the way they normally go about doing things because they can see the value in doing it. Okay, and it's very important for all customers to understand the supply side perspective, and market engagement will give you that information. It's also important, if you're looking for an innovation, you've got to give people time to innovate. And a really good thing about the market engagement process is it does help you to actually design an effective pro-innovation tendering approach. What's useful for suppliers is it helps them to have enough depth of understanding that they can differentiate what they're offering to you later on in the tendering process on factors other than price. Because for a supplier, it's extremely dull to only compete on price. They want to show you what's possible. And this is something that a supplier said to me as he sat next to me in a market engagement workshop. This is gold dust for suppliers. Insights, information, connection to your customers. And we've had lots of really positive feedback. Suppliers really do appreciate market engagement. Suppliers need to understand what their customers need today and in the future in order to prepare their own supply chains to deliver that. And also, it's seen as very positive in our experience by the customers themselves. They really see the value in doing it. Okay, so these are some quotes from colleagues in the people-centred low-carbon catering project. And I really would encourage you to go and read the case examples, including this one, and the excellent case examples from Italy and from Poland and from the UK and the Netherlands that are in there. So we're looking at to build confidence. So if the market engagement exercise comes back, and we can typically imagine getting something like 40 responses to a market engagement exercise. It's usually around that kind of number, obviously depends on the sector. And that really builds confidence in the procurement team that people are interested and that something's possible, and actually people are hearing what we're saying. I've also seen no response from the market, or a very negative or reluctant response from the market, even though the market engagement exercise has been run effectively and proactively. And that has happened a few years ago in the waste sector, where the waste sector just was not interested in innovation. It was quite happy with the business models, and there weren't enough drivers to get them to change at that point. Fortunately for us, things have moved on a bit since then. It's also very often that the feedback that you'll get from your suppliers will help you to change the outcome statement, for example, to become more or less ambitious, to add new elements that you hadn't even thought of, or new possibilities. And I would say usually you tend to get more ambitious based on the feedback from a supply chain, because they are saying, well, actually, that's great, but you know, this is what's coming next. You could achieve more. Okay. People often forget that the market engagement process it's not just about communicating outwards and letting people know things. It's actually about listening to suppliers. And I always think it's very useful to ask suppliers, what sort of tendering process, or what things do we need to take into account in the tendering process to make this an effective market engagement exercise? But it may be, for example, we had one which said, okay, well, actually, we're going to have to do some prototyping. So we would anticipate that this would need to be a two-stage contract. One that says, okay, this is a prototyping stage. And then if it's successful, there is already a contract in place to move immediately onto the procurement. And that was the sustainable bed washing facility with Erasmus Hospital in Rotterdam. We also might find out from suppliers that there are various barriers that are in the way. And one of them might be that in order to get approvals and standards for a particular product, it's going to take longer than you think to bring it into market. Because, as you probably know, getting products approved through the standards and approvals system can take time through quality control, etc. And that's useful to know. That's very, very valuable and useful information. So what does it look like in practice? I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail here, because our case example will take you through a detailed approach and how market engagement, what it looks like in practice. But just to summarise, really important are a series of communication documents. We usually produce a market sounding prospectus and include within that a series of questions, something like 10, 15 questions, really carefully targeted to get the information you need from suppliers. It has to be accessible, it has to be professionally presented. It's now become common practice to publish a prior information notice in the official journal and with any national networks as well, just to say, okay, this is actually launching our market engagement process, and to give you advance notice that a tender may be happening in the not too distant future. What's really important, of course, is that when you get those responses from suppliers, that you actually read them. And that might sound obvious, but sometimes when you're landed with a large pile of response forms, they take time to go through. But it's always worth the effort, and it's really important to listen. If you've asked people to respond out of respect, listen to what they're saying. And I always think it's useful to summarise and present back to your procurement team or your leadership, this is what we've found out. Another useful thing is a directory of suppliers, which means that you can invite suppliers to list themselves in all the people that have responded, and that helps to facilitate cross-fertilisation within the supply chain. That means they can contact each other and maybe come together in a consortium to deliver a solution. Keeping the doors open and providing feedback to supply chain is really, really important, because what you don't want is for the supply chain to have responded positively and then hear nothing from you for 6 months while you're reading. So keep them up to date. A website is a really good way of doing that, and keep engaged, keep publishing frequently asked questions as they come through, that kind of thing. And then at the end of this process, what we would normally do is have a market consultation workshop of some sort. Obviously these days, probably going to be online, isn't it? And make sure that you brief them well before that event. And at the end of the process, you've got a market consultation report with all the knowledge that you've gained through this process. This may look like a lot of documentation, but actually they all build on each other. Market consultation workshops. People are often very nervous about the idea of bringing suppliers together into a room, but that everybody, we always get a good response. You get a good number of people turning up. We've had sometimes up to 75 suppliers turning up to market consultation workshops. And the other thing that is a useful thing to think about for your market consultation workshop is to invite other potential customers to come along to those. That's good for the potential customers because they hear what's going on, but it's also really useful for the supply chain to see that there are other people who are interested in finding a solution. I've come across over the years various concerns about market engagement, and certainly this was the case in the beginning, and I think these are now beginning to become more like history rather than current practice. There was always a feeling that it wasn't somehow allowable. It does require thought and it does require care, and the revised procurement directives now clearly encourage prior market engagement. And any people on in this webinar who are involved in projects with the European Commission in innovation procurement will see very clearly that open market consultation is seen as a key step in the process. Of course, what you need to do is to respect transparency, maintain a level playing field, and treat all suppliers equally and consistently, and have an audit trail of the questions that have been asked and what your response has been. And again, the websites can be very, very useful to do that. We have had projects that have used technical dialogue in the place of prior market engagement where customers still felt uncomfortable, or where it was out of line with national guidance or national regulations. And that is possible and it can be done. And if anybody would like to discuss that, Marcin Couch in Poland, our colleague here in EcoQuip Plus, will be the ideal person to talk to about that. So what are the success factors in market engagement? Well, first of all, the preparation stage is really important to make sure that you are accurately defining what it is that you're looking for, and making sure that the internal stakeholders are on board, because that is part of building that credibility, together with demonstrating that leadership is committed and is backing you on this endeavour. We've talked about outcome-based requirements. And critically, you've got to begin early. You know, if you want people to innovate, you've got to give them time to do that. Moreover, I think professional and thoughtful communication materials, and understanding that the communication process is a two-way process. If you're going to do all this work to prepare market engagement materials, to have done a solid preparation stage, then there's no point having done that unless people know it's happening. So, excuse me, I'm just going to have a sip of water. So what's really important is that the communication process to the supply chain is proactive. You've got to mobilise intermediaries like trade bodies, you use social media, take out adverts even in trade magazines, we've done that before. Publish press releases, be imaginative, but just be proactive and get the message out there. You may find that the supply chain doesn't really know what this means if it's not familiar to them. I think it's getting more so, but I think still there are some suppliers out there who aren't quite sure what we're trying to achieve with this. And so you might have to do some supplier education as to what this process is about. Be patient. Once they get the idea, they'll really like it. Critical part of credibility in market engagement is that you've got to be showing that you're already thinking ahead and inspire confidence that when it comes to the tendering process, it will be designed in a way to enable innovative solutions to compete equally with established solutions. And this is something that we'll be talking about more in the next webinar. Okay, so we'll be then looking at pro-innovation tendering. That's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention. A reminder that the next webinar is on the 5th of November. And with no further ado, I shall hand over to our colleague, Denis Premec, to tell you all about his case example in Croatia.
Thank you very much, Gaynor. Hello, everybody. And first of all, I would like to check if you can hear me and if you can see me. So, Haley, can you confirm me that everything is okay so I can start with my presentation?
Yes, I can hear you and I can see you.
Okay, thank you very much. I will share my screen now. And turn off my camera so everybody can concentrate on the presentation. Thank you very much. Just let me move the okay. Okay, so let's start with the presentation. First of all, I have to start with a starting slide. Thank you very much for your invitation to your webinar. I will try to show and describe what we have done regarding the extensive transformation of kindergarten I will show you our case study. Our case study was practically everything was around the innovation procurement. We had quite tough last 2 years, 2020 and 2019, because it was exhausting project, but we are very satisfied how it ended. So let me show you. First of all, who we are and what we do, just for you to have a feeling who we are and what are our aspects of work. I'm coming from a regional energy agency north from Croatia. We deal with renewable energy sources, energy efficiency, rational use of energy, and a little bit of environmental protection. We are independent and not-for-profit institution, and we provide support and consulting and all other related services to all participants which are directly or indirectly involved in energy issues in North Croatia region, but especially to our three cities in North Croatia region. I am the project manager in the field of energy retrofitting projects in agency, and I'm responsible for the whole process of development and management of these kind of projects. So from specifying the procurement of project designing services, specifying the procurement of works, until the end of works. So I also engage with contractors, and I control the contractors, and to reach the final results of all projects. So I have everything under my control. Let me show you. Just I don't see. Okay. I don't see my, I have to move this away, just a minute. What was our challenge? So we wanted to completely renovate a kindergarten building, and that building was considered to be near the end of its useful time. The building is, in fact, quite old, 35 years old building with wooden construction, and the prevailing opinion was among people in our city that the lifetime is over and it should be demolished. But we said, no, why? Why should we demolish it? We will have, we want to avoid demolishing. Let's remodel it rather than demolish, and let's engage also the energy retrofitting works of the kindergarten, so the kindergarten will be according to today's standards. So our goal was to find an innovative solution to this, at the first moment, unrealistic wish. We wanted to avoid the demolition of the kindergarten and to avoid the construction of a new one, because both will be a substantial cost. We wanted to enhance the building and extend its lifetime at least for 25 years. And we also wanted, by this innovation procurement, to get a replicable solution for same or similar buildings in the city and in the region, which would be, of course, a benefit for both procurer and for for selected bidder, because he would capitalize his initial investment in this innovation procurement process. So we wanted innovative external and internal replicable solution for energy efficient and functional transformation of this prefabricated wooden kindergarten. We had 300,000 euros in our fund, and we wanted to see what can we do with this money. Is it possible to do everything we wish to do? And just to reveal you, we succeeded, and the innovation resulted from the combination of existing construction materials and basic construction techniques, but such combination which was not previously offered or used in the market. So there was no innovation in, I don't know, some space materials or some extraordinary construction procedures. This can also be an innovation, a combination of existing materials, existing approaches, existing processes, but the way which has never been used previously in the market. This is also regarded as an innovation, and if innovation helps you solve the problem which could normally not be helped, then you have a really innovative solution. Please excuse me for 15 seconds because my battery is out. I will just try to plug in my computer. Sorry for this. Okay, here I am. I will continue. Sorry again for this. What was the course and results of the project? Well, I will show you what happened and how it happened after the innovation procurement process has been conducted. So the tendering procedure is the final stage of innovation procurement process. It is the moment when you start the procedure to which will result with the contract. So the tendering procedure started on 31st January 2019, almost more than 1.5 years ago, and the contract was signed on 24th April 2019. The works started some 15 days later on June 10, and the innovative solution was delivered on 31st August 2019. Now count with me. These are 35 days for project designing and 80 days for implementation of the innovation. How is it possible? It's possible because 2 years prior to the start of tendering procedure, we already started with our innovation procurement activities, with our innovation procurement process. We started preparing, we started sounding with the sounding of the market, with market analysis and so on, just to be sure what is possible and what's not possible. And we wanted to see the feedback of our suppliers, potential suppliers. Concrete results were, the first one, innovative measure 1. This is how we named it. The big problem was the old building, and we had to remediate all inadequate water supply and drainage system of the building because it leaked everywhere. So we did a complete replacement of all inadequate water supply pipes and installed new water supply and drainage, but without extensive invasive works. With invasive works, the works would last longer. And we wanted to, we didn't want to do that. This was our innovation. So the water supply system with almost no need for supporting structure, which can be mounted easily and fast. And that proved to be really both innovative and cost-effective solution. Let me show you. This is the attic, and the attic of the kindergarten was used for laying down the water supply pipes and thus making invasive works just to vertically, see, connect to the floor pipes in bathrooms. So we had small invasive works only on internal walls. This is a connection to the bathroom sinks, and we solved that problem. Of course, we had to demolish the floor, but these works are not so intensive. These are children bathrooms before with original installations, 35 years old, and this is also one of the walls which was really at the end of its lifetime. And these are bathrooms after the works have been done. Really a complete change. So it's made for little people. And this was realization of innovative measure 1. The innovative measure 2, which was our second goal in innovation procurement, was we wanted the thermal protection of building envelope and thicker than possible thermal protection of external walls. And the innovation has been done due to innovative reinforcing of the exterior walls construction by using ordinary oriented strain board panels, OSB panels, which is of course the sustainable material. It's made of wood, and it was used for the building envelope reconstruction and reinforcing. So let's see how the exterior walls looked before starting the reconstruction. This is the original building wooden envelope, quite thick walls, reinforced with these OSB panels, partially double layered. These are new window frames to enable new heavier windows mounting, new windows. So let's see it once again, an envelope before, building envelope before and after the reinforcing. Quite a change. This is the start of the mounting of the mineral wool, the thermal insulation of walls. And this is one more picture, before and after. Just right according to expectations. A new facade, some new pretty drawings on the facade to attract children. We also had some mechanical works. This is an old boiler room plant and a new one, substantially smaller, more effective. These were old floors breaking apart. It was hard to maintain these floors. This is the process of making new floors, and finally improved children rooms with new floors, new internal walls, new windows. This was an old prison-like corridor, and this is today's new spacious one. some final touches by employees, and ready for children play. This was our project. So, how to begin with? I think you should begin with stakeholders. Stakeholders are the most important category in every innovation procurement. Well, in fact, in every project. Of course, we started with needs identification, which was the first critical part of the project. And during this phase, we discussed, of course, with local end users in kindergarten, which were, of course, employees of the kindergarten, parents, and also some children, but who were old enough to talk with us. So that involved 2 separated focus groups, and also we talked to all other local stakeholders, primarily with the representatives of our city of Koprivnica, who is a kindergarten owner. We also talked to suppliers because we wanted to define requirements without prescribing any specific solution, which is the main point of the innovation procurement, because this way you enable the supply side to be innovative with their proposals. They don't feel like they are in a small box inside which there is a recipe for the solution, and you motivate them to engage in market consultation process. Also, we identified representatives of possible future end users on a nationwide scale, not only in our city. We conducted a market research to identify the possible market size, to determine what are the capitalization possibilities, and we also wanted a support for our project. So we gained around 60 preliminary expressions of interest from public administration, from business entities, from faculties, and from ministries for our market engagement procedure. During this process, we also detected a Ministry of Construction as another stakeholder, and we scheduled a meeting with them, explained our project, and they supported us, but not with additional funds. We thought maybe we could gain some additional funds, but they just supported us, and this was only, on one hand, it was quite enough. We said to us, okay, let's engage a design and build approach. It's a specific approach when doing reconstruction of the buildings, and we did it by defining all important part of award criteria. The important part was the quality and innovation criteria, which has 50% of all points in award criteria in tendering documentation. And by making that approach, on some point of time, we had necessary arguments to encourage bidders to compete with effective and longer lasting and innovative solutions. So our main criteria was not the price was only 50% of all possible points, and suppliers feedback was very positive, because these kind of tenders with this kind of combination of quality and non-quality criteria is quite rare in Croatia, because you need to have a good methodology to come out with that kind of criteria combination. So, proving all that feasible, we also engaged some extra funding from our main stakeholder, city of Koprivnica, and we thought, okay, now we can start. But as the situation was developing, we noted that something dramatically is changing in the Croatian labor market and in the Croatian construction market. There were changes that the impact of these changes came to its peak in the middle of 2018. So what happened? The reason one, we faced with extraordinary drainage of skilled workforce to Germany and other EU countries, which resulted with limited supply capabilities of Croatian companies. And the second reason, more than 200 million euros from EU funds were placed on the market through public calls in 2017 and 2018. And this is just for public buildings. The amount was even bigger. These funds were placed by Croatian government. What were the consequences? The first one, construction companies were overloaded due to extremely increased demand in 2017 and especially in 2018. And final consequence was, of course, the market responded by increasing the prices for more than 30% on average. And this was very bad for our funds. So initiating our procurement process without knowing what to expect from the market in those new conditions would be really a game of high risk. So we had to stop, postpone the tender, postpone the start of the tender, and prolong the innovation procurement process and perform some additional market research and analysis of results of similar tendering procedures. So it turned out that the market appetite for our project, and especially for innovation demand, became limited. And these conclusions were all based on suppliers' feedback. We had to do additional research. Based on that, we partly changed and refined our specifications based on that market feedback, but still our specifications, our outcome-based requirements were still encouraging innovation. We didn't want to cut off innovation. Now, what was our process? After that, we started with market sounding. The first step was to write down and to publish the prior information notice, which was published in March 2018, both in National Official Journal and in EU Official Journal, Tender Electronics Daily, and PIN, prior information notice, was published for the first time ever in Croatia. How do we know that? Because the technical possibilities of our National Official Journal were not functioning in a normal way. We couldn't publish the PIN in spite of the fact that the publication was there in application as one of functionalities. So we had to call the National Official Journal technical staff so they could correct the mistake, so we could publish the prior information notice. Publishing prior information notice is not the tender, is not the beginning of the tender. This is only publishing of basic info and a very good signal for suppliers that things are getting serious from now on. So we simultaneously also published the market sounding prospectus, and which was a bigger document. We were not able to write that document by our own, on our own, and I must say that Gaynor Wiles helped us a lot. Without her help, we would be doomed here, because producing a market sounding prospectus is a very important step of the innovation procurement process. But of course, simply publishing those two documents is not enough. You need to engage some supplemental and comprehensive market action. So what did we do? First, we launched email campaign immediately. We sent more than 15,000 emails. This was prior to GDPR, in which we informed various potential suppliers about published PIN, about published MSP, and also we informed them that we launched the pilot project market sounding web page, and this was the central place of our market sounding process, and it was very good for later open market consulting. We wanted to show professionalism and visualize our credibility, but we made this web page quite simple with intuitive design. We had direct and clear information on this page, and this page was launched in two languages, in Croatian language and English language, because we didn't want to concentrate only on Croatian market. We wanted to attract also suppliers from abroad. We made some tools on this web page, and tools offered for supply side were these one. First, the supply side could download complete pilot project technical documentation. The suppliers could make a site visit reservation. They could make a market consultation workshop registration. They could send us questions. We also had some kind of suppliers connecting tool, and of course, the main point was to collect expressions of interest through this web page. So let me walk you through the web page. I will try to now make a change. I hope that you see the web page. Can someone confirm me that the
yes,
page...
we can see it.
Okay, thank you very much. So the page is really simple. This is the intro page, and when we go down the page, we see only necessary information about our energy efficient extensive transformation of kindergarten. This is how we communicated our main ideas to the market. And right at the beginning, you can see the button for expressing the interest. So I will click the button, express your interest. Let us see how our expressions of interest look like. This is the intro text of the expression of interest. Of course, we wanted to collect basic information about the potential supplier, their address, their webpage, how big they are, number of employees, what are their area of expertise, email contact, and of course this is a disclaimer that they willingly provide us their contact information. Then we had a question. We gave them an opportunity to say yes, we want to come to your market consultation workshop in 2018. Please register me. Of course, also the possibility to visit the kindergarten building site in Koprivnica. They could enter the date which was most suitable for them. And the second part of the expressions of interest were questions. Also, these questions, with these questions also helped us, Gaynor helped us with these questions, and these questions were quite good, I think, because we've got a lot of answers. Questions like what innovative solutions, goods or services are currently available from your area of expertise? Are you currently developing innovative solutions? Do you offer energy performance contracting? Do you have experiences in areas of designing or implementing didactical solutions, and so on? So not so easy questions, because we wanted really to get a good feedback from the market. I will go back to the website. This was the button for asking questions. By clicking this button, the email application opens. I will not show this. This is an invitation for supply side to join us in open market consultation. Very simple, with two pictures. Again, we are inviting them to express their interest. This is simple project implementation time plan. And after that, again, the button express your interest. So we were bombing them with this button. And the final things on this web page were, of course, documentation. They could download the documentation. I will not click that because this is 55 megabytes, and this is download of the zip file. But they could see a prior information notice again here if they missed it. I will see how our prior information notice looked like, structured by all the rules. Again, thank you, Gaynor, for this. The prior information notice has been published both in Croatian language and in English language. This is English language, and this is in Croatian language, but I will not explain it in details. The suppliers could also see or download our market sounding prospectus, which you can see here, but I will return to it later. I will show it later. I will just see, these are questions and answers. I will not show them, but this is very important. Connect and cooperate opportunities. So the suppliers were given, oh, I should go to Croatian version of this site, sorry, to show you that. Okay. The suppliers were given an opportunity to connect, first to offer their interests, to offer what are they capable of. This is here. Specialization, what are their specialization? They had to describe in what area are they specialized, what are their contact info, so other suppliers could see them and connect with them in order to make a partnership to compete in our tendering process. So we offered them this tool because we knew that our procurement innovation is quite new thing in Croatia, and we wanted to ease and to motivate them to connect between themselves. So we had how much? 26 suppliers which were deeply interested for our process, And when we saw that, we said, okay, now we know we are not losers. Now we know we are on the right path. I will go back, and once again back. So let's go back to the market sounding prospectus. So what is important for the market sounding prospectus? I will show it in my special slide, which is here. I already said that you probably won't be able to write a market sounding prospectus on your own. You need to use the consultancy services, because this kind of documents, you cannot find the templates for these kind of documents on internet. The basic things are you need good structure, you need good design. Design is also quite important, and you need to be clear and concise when writing the text. You have to clearly state that this is still not the start of tendering process, and by that you motivate supply side to involve in your open market consulting, in this market sounding. Market sounding prospectus is not a technical document, so you have to watch the language. Our first version of the document, I think Gaynor was scared of our first version of the document, because we are all engineers here. So this was the first feedback from her, that we have to watch the language, and the language must be fluid, understandable, because suppliers are of various kinds of people, and you need to have the common language for everybody. Then you must show credibility by showing how good you know the case of your project and what are market opportunities, but based on your careful research. And you have to prove that in that document. You have to show your stakeholders and supporters. This is also a part of credibility. It's good if you quote someone or highlight something. This is here. So we quoted, for example, our managing director. We also quoted how much cities did we analyze, 120 cities in Croatia, and so on. And of course, you have to show what you expect from supply side. Well, the main expectance was, please express your interest. This is shown here. So let's go back to the market sounding prospectus. You can see that here. So this is design of the first page of the market sounding prospectus. This is a note, a disclaimer that this is a market sounding exercise to provide advanced information of requirements. It is not a tendering process. We show them our main supporters: Ministry of Construction and Physical Planning, the Croatian Chamber of Economy, the Croatian Green Building Council, and Croatian Association of Cities. Quite strong supporters, and this is also part of credibility. This is content. This is the structure of the document. We have some short introduction of the problem of the project. We show some nice pictures. In this case, the pictures of children. Then we described our case, and this is also one of this is also an important part of market sounding prospectus. What are our outcome-based requirements? So these are not specifications for the tender. These are outcome-based requirements. This is the playground on which the suppliers can play and make their own solution proposals. innovative solution proposals. So these were our outcome-based requirements for example, enhance the learning and play environment, then increase the daylight illumination within interior spaces. We are not talking about any new lights or any other solutions we want here. We just want to increase the daylight illumination. How? I don't know. Give us a solution. You can make bigger windows. You can make a hole in the ceiling, but make it good. And if this is innovative approach, you will get additional points. Enable visual connection of carers to childcare rooms, which has not been the case. Achieve NZEP standard for energy performance requirement, and so on. Here we show the suppliers our market opportunities, and we cite that we have supporters among 60 cities and municipalities, that our main supporter is Ministry of Construction and Physical Planning, that this pilot transformation will serve as a proof of this concept on a national level, and that it is reasonably to believe that all or part of the design solution will be applicable not only to kindergarten buildings, not only to this kindergarten building, but also to similar ground level buildings or even smaller buildings in Croatia. So we show them their market opportunity and how can they capitalize their initial effort. Then we describe market engagement. What do we mean by that? What is our approach to market engagement? Site visits. That we also described that we will have a market consultation workshop. Again, we give them in market sounding prospectus. We give them the website link, our mail address, especially designed for this project, and so on. At the end of the document, there is a how the procurement process will look like and the timeline. What are the next steps, and this is it. We also had an annex to this market sounding prospectus, and this is the technical part for all suppliers who know how to read this technical annex of this building. But we wanted to show with this technical annex that we carefully analyzed the construction of this kindergarten, and that it is feasible to carry on with the construction activities. This is it. I will go back to my presentation and hopefully end soon. So our market consultation workshop has been carried out on 25th April 2018. This is 1 year before the contract signing. So you can see how much time you need to prepare the market and to prepare yourself before you start the actual tendering procedure. So in this case, at least 1 year, but in our case, it was more than 1.5 years before the contract signing, because on April 2018, we conducted a market consultation workshop, but to conduct that workshop, we need to carefully and extensively analyze the market. This is the picture from our market consultation workshop. Quite a lot of suppliers. Yes, I will end soon. And these are final results. So we've got improved building with extended lifetime of 25 plus more years for the cost less than 500 euros per square meter. There were some savings, 61% savings of heating energy. We have diverted from landfill the whole building. We enhanced the learning and play environment for children. And the suppliers also upgraded its knowledge in public procurement and are now more confident and motivated to participate in similar demanding tenders. So innovation procurement for this extensive transformation of an old prefabricated kindergarten building was the part of our project Prominent Med from Interreg Med program. We did it with City of Koprivnica. There was a lot of effort, but it was paid off, among other, also by Green Building Council Award Reconstruction of the Year for 2019. And 1 hour ago, we have also got a Procura Plus Award Innovation for Innovation Procurement of the Year 2020. So let me see that we are all happy with this. These are the awards, and this is my team from agency, and now I can just show you how we started and how we ended, and this is it. I would also like to express my gratitude to all the members of the team, especially to Gaynor Wiles, but also to my managing director and to Manuela, and who was our national procurement consultant, to my colleagues Boris and Damir for deep sounding and analysis of the market, but also to other members of the team, especially assistant professors from the civil engineering faculty to contractors, to kindergarten principal, and so on. It was a big team, and without that team, it could not be possible to finish that project. Thank you very much for your concentration, and sorry for delaying this, but this is it. I'm done. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dennis. That was really interesting. And congratulations on your award. That's wonderful news. Very well done to you and your whole team.
Thank you.
No problem. We've obviously run over slightly, but I think most of you have stayed with us. Most of you that started are still with us, which I think is testament to the interesting themes that were coming through there, the importance of market sounding, the importance of engaging with stakeholders, and obviously the outcomes from doing that have been fantastic. So thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you to everyone for staying with us, and I hope you found it interesting, enjoyable, and useful. If you do have any questions, obviously we don't have time for questions, but if you do have any questions either for Gaynor or for Dennis, please just let me know. Email them to me. My email address is on all of the documentation and the website. I'd be happy to pass on your contacts or any questions that you may have, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you again. I hope you'll join us for the next webinar on the 5th of November, and we will see you then. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dennis. It was brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And again, sorry for this delay.
No problem at all.
Okay. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.